Today we're going to talk about something that's a little uncomfortable, but honestly deserves attention. Because I have seen these names, these titles, called out in comments over and over and over again, dozens upon dozens of times in comments in relation to the Apple's channel. Video after video, time and again, the same words are coming forth from longtime viewers and subscribers. Narcissist, grifter, dry begging, and performative. Narcissist, grifter, dry begging, and performative. You've seen these words. You may have used them yourself, and you've definitely seen them used to define someone online in just seconds. But here's the question that no one stops to ask. What really do these words mean? And am I using them properly? But there's a consequence to using these words without precision and without accuracy. And the consequence associated with that is that they frame perception. And perception will frame how a person is interacted with as well. So, today is not about calling anyone out. It's also not about defending anyone. It's about understanding the language. And sometimes they get it completely wrong. So, today is not about calling anyone out. It's also not about defending anyone. It's about understanding the language. Because once you understand the language, you'll start to understand the conversation much differently. Okay, so before we go any deeper, I just want to say that this video is not an attempt to diagnose anyone. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a specialist. This video is for educational and discussion purpose only. It is not to call anyone out. It is not to put labels on anyone, but it's to understand what the words that we're seeing over and over again, what they mean, and how it impacts the conversation. These are the general concepts that are widely used, but also widely misused online. So let's start with one of the most powerful and frequently used words in this conversation, and that is narcissism. The word narcissist actually comes from Greek mythology. A figure named Narcissus became so captivated by his own reflection that he couldn't look away. But modern psychology is far more nuanced, and narcissism exists on a spectrum. On one end, there's healthy narcissism, with confidence, ambition, and a stable sense of self. For example, imagine if someone works hard and they just want to share that success. They've achieved something meaningful. Well, desiring to share that success isn't pathology, it's just being a human. So, for example, let's just say that you are a principal of high school and you have been selected as your region's number one principal, and you get an award and you get acknowledgement and you feel really good about it. Sharing that with your family and friends doesn't make you a narcissist. It, like before, it just makes you human. And this isn't just about moments, it's about patterns over time. But on the far other end of the spectrum is narcissistic personality disorder, lack of empathy, difficulty handling criticism, and need for constant admiration. And as much as we might want to give someone a name, you really can't watch a few videos or listen to a few moments of someone speak and come to the conclusion that they're a narcissist. So, what people react to is behavior. But instead of describing behavior, the internet assigns identity. That is narcissist. Next word, grifter. Now, historically, the word grifter used to mean purposeful deception for financial gain, and it requires awareness, planning, and manipulation. So, for example, if someone knowingly creates a story and then tries to collect money off of it, that would align with the definition of a grifter. So, for example, there was a young woman, and this is a true story, who concocted this idea that she had cancer, and she would show videos of herself getting different medical procedures done and with gowns on at places that seemingly were hospitals, and would talk about her different treatments and how those were going. And she was all the while collecting a lot of money from people online under the guise that she had cancer. Well, an investigation looked into her, or took place at some point, and was determined that she in fact did not, but was profiting off of that lie. Now, that would be a definition of a grifter. So that case had a clear outcome, and it was obvious what it was when all was said and done. But there are other cases where it's not so clear. So now imagine a creator who posts emotional content and their channel is monetized. Now some subscribers are uncomfortable, and now suddenly discomfort becomes a label, and that is grifter. But as you know, discomfort is not proof, and assigning a label to someone without evidence becomes tricky as it's accusatory. And the next one, dry begging. Now, dry begging is a rather new internet term that refers to describing a need without specifically asking for the funds for it or for the need to be met directly. So, a perfect example for this might be, wow, groceries are so expensive. I don't know how I'm going to meet all of my bills and get groceries this month. So, what you're doing essentially when you put that out there, as in dry begging, you are saying, I need funds for groceries. I'm not going to ask you for them, but I'm going to imply it, or I'm going to put it out there, and I'm going to hope that you actually send me money or buy me groceries. Now, imagine two scenarios. One person is simply very stressed and overwhelmed, and another, well, they might understand that sharing could very well lead to the support they need or want. And from the outside, they look pretty identical. Now, humans are wired for empathy, so if we hear of a struggle, most of the times we want to help. Now, that's connection, not automatically manipulation. But when intent is unclear, and it happens multiple times, well, then people label it. And finally, the term performative. So it's behavior that's actually shaped by the awareness of an audience. And while it may not be actually fake, it is presented. And in social media, we really do see an amplification of this. So the camera goes on, and then the behavior changes in response to the camera being on, in full awareness that there's an audience. And so a presentation of behavior results in this scenario. So people edit and frame and choose what they want to show. Now, this by itself isn't inherently deceptive, but when expectations don't match what is shown, people look at it closely and will often label it as performative. And so, the question now is, why do these words spread so quickly? Because of cognitive shortcuts. Our brain wants fast answers, and life is way more complex than the fast answers our brains are wanting. So these labels, they actually simplify the complexity of the real world. But the problem is, and this is a problem, is that the need for speed actually reduces accuracy. Then comes confirmation bias. So we start to notice the things that support the labels and ignore the things that don't. That's how narratives, sometimes long, sometimes complex, sometimes messy, sometimes scandalous, that's how those narratives form. So instead of asking what label actually fits this person, instead, maybe you might want to consider asking, what is it that I'm actually seeing? Because behaviors are observable and labels are interpretive. And interpretation is where errors occur. Words really do matter. They shape perception and they shape judgment. When they're used carefully, they bring clarity, but when they're used loosely, they create harm. And really, it comes down to understanding that difference and allowing that to help us to have better conversations. And those better conversations are what move things forward. Thank you for being with us, with me, and I appreciate you watching my video. If you're interested in more deep dives like this, please subscribe. You won't want to miss what's coming out in the near future.